Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the Review Show, where every week we pick something new, whether it be a comic book, movie, TV show, anime, manga, or more. And we read it, we watch it, we do what we have to do, come back here and discuss it. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined, as always, by Melissa Wilkinson.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you today, Kyle? We just discussed that you slept most of the day, but
Yes.
that also sounds like a great way to spend a day.
Yeah, did not sleep super well last night, so I've been kind of in and out of this, state of, constant sleep all day. I guess it's not constant if I'm in and out, but yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on your outlook on life, that could be a very good way to spend the day or a very bad way. But yeah, week has been good, though.
Yeah. And I think nothing wakes a person up like a podcast recording.
Yes, it was like, okay, now I actually need to, get up, take care of the dogs, eat, do something with my life right now. So, yeah. And yesterday, I went to go see Solo.
Oh, fun. I'm going first thing Monday morning, literally a 10:30 a.m. showing.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah.
we are recording this podcast on a Saturday evening, but around this time tomorrow, we're going to be recording an episode of the Reactor Core for everyone to listen to on the Solo movie. So if you guys want review, reaction, spoiler cast type of thing on the Solo movie, be on the lookout for that, because we will have one of those too. And yeah, we have a couple other announcements before we get to what we're actually going to be talking about. But to keep people interested, what are we talking about this week, Melissa?
We are talking about a scripted narrative podcast called The Fearsome Morning.
Yes.
Which is, I'm not going to call it an audio drama because it's very comedic.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think audio drama is a kind of a blanket term these days, but you're right. It is more of a comedy. It's very much an absurdist comedy.
Yes. Yeah, very absurd.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about that. You were the one that pitched it, though. So give me a synopsis of what this is.
This is a short series. It's 7 episodes and a couple bonus clips. And the entire thing takes 3 hours to listen to, probably.
Yeah.
It's unfinished, I guess. I just looked it up again right before we started recording, and I found no new information on it.
They haven't made a new episode in a couple years. It was
Yeah.
The last one was episode 7, came out February 26, 2016. So it's been a while.
Yeah, so kind of unfinished, but it's, like I said, it's not a drama. It doesn't leave you on a cliffhanger. It's really worth checking out, and it's basically about this guy named Joe that moves from his big dysfunctional family in New Jersey to work as the personal assistant to his favorite morning talk show host in LA, and the podcast is his audio logs he's recording to send back home to his family.
Yeah, it's like a diary for his family. So it's cool. Yeah, it's good. It's pretty much just 2 or 3 people making it. It's really simple. With audio drama, one of the things that's neat is you can get all sorts of production value. Some are really, really good. Some are, it's just 2 people making it in their spare time, which was a little bit more of what this one is. And I think it worked out cool. But we will talk more about that in just a sec, because we have a couple announcements. Some housekeeping for all of you guys. I mentioned the spoiler cast for Solo. That is going to be on one of our other podcasts called The Reactor Core. So you guys can look that up anywhere you get podcasts. You can type in the Whatnauts, and in fact, all of our podcasts will come up. It's pretty snazzy. So I guess that kind of was a soft introduction to the fact that, yes, all of our podcasts are now on their own separate feeds. If you are a long-time listener, basically everything we've put out has always been on one podcast feed, which was simply called the Whatnauts. And for the moment, that feed is still up and available, and that will basically be a master feed. We might end up hiding that feed, so you guys have to go and subscribe to each show individually. But that way, if you guys are a fan of the review show, but maybe not so much of the Captain's Log or something like that, then you don't have to, have your feed bombarded with all of this stuff. So go on to iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Google Play or wherever you get your podcasts, and you can search us that way. Search the Whatnauts, and all of our stuff will come up there. And more is coming. We have some new shows on the horizon as well. But we also have a brand new website. And we are super excited about that. It is up right now. It's thewhatnauts.com. We've had that domain name for a while, but it is looking brand spanking new. In all honesty, there's probably going to be more changes to the website down the road as we continue to grow and be like, oh, hey, I figured out how to do this and do that and make it look extra fancy and stuff like that. So we are excited. So if you guys want to go check out that website, that would be awesome. It's thewhatnauts.com. Last but not least, what was that?
No, I was just going to say, you put your graphic design skills to work, and it looks beautiful and clean and crisp.
Thank you. I used basically the, I guess, in-house, website maker that they had. So I wasn't actually coding this one. That was the original plan, but it took a lot longer than I expected. So I was like, I'm just going to put something up real fast and use their templates and stuff like that. So that's why there might be changes coming down the road. But yeah, go check it out. Do us a favor. Last but not least, though, if you guys did not know, this is a live show over on twitch.tv/thewhatnauts. If you guys want to come and hang out with us, you guys can do so there. You can leave your thoughts on whatever it is we're talking about week in and week out in the chat. We will respond. You guys can be a part of the conversation as well. And I think that's about it. That's enough housekeeping for now. Let's dive in, because we've probably bored all of you half to death, and everyone is jumping ship like it's the Titanic.
So I pitched this to you because this is a show I stumbled across 2 years ago, and I really liked it, and I've always been waiting for more. Who knows if I'll ever get any more. But I've gone back and re-listened to it a couple more times, and I always try and suggest it to people, and I don't think I've ever got anyone to listen to it with me. And it's a fairly simple, short, light show, but there's something about it that keeps me coming back to it, and I wanted to talk about it with someone. So, no pressure, Kyle, if you didn't like it as much as I liked it, but how did you find this thing? So, what were your thoughts?
So we already did our short, here's what it is, so we're probably going to get into spoilers very soon here. Though at the same time, there really isn't much of a strong narrative in this, so there's really not much to spoil. So even if you guys have not listened to this yet, which you totally should, go listen to it and then come back here. But even if you haven't, I don't feel like you're going to get spoiled on much by this conversation. But yeah, so I really liked it. I don't think it was my favorite. It reminded me of something else, which I'll mention down the road. But yeah, it's one of the cool things about audio drama is that it can just be 2 or 3 people making this in their spare time in their basement with absolutely zero budget and just having fun. And I don't know if this was a college thing that they did or just spare time. Hey, I'm a writer. I want to start writing something, just to get in the habit of continually having a bi-weekly, deadline to get something done. And yeah, I think for one of the shows that was kind of lower production value, this is a very good one.
Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds like exactly what it's supposed to sound like. And it isn't like a big sci-fi scape where they have like sound effects or anything. I think at one point you might hear like a drink being poured and that's about it. But it never feels like more production value is missing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like leaving a voicemail, which might be ancient technology to you young kids out there. But just like leaving your family a message on the phone, and that basically being it. And episode to episode is his like weekly, or I guess they released a new episode every 2 weeks, I think. But yeah, and so it's a very simple premise, a very simple kind of way of making it, and I think it worked really well. The audio quality is very good, which is something that is usually hit or miss on the lower production value stuff. I've seen some shows kind of start out right, and you can tell they didn't have the right mics. They're recording in someone's basement, and you can hear like the fan running or their air conditioning running, stuff like that. It's not the best audio quality, or you can tell that they're like Skyping in someone, and it's like, okay, well, good for you. You guys are making your own story, but
make a thing.
Yeah, to me, that's always. Like, it's hard for me to listen to a podcast if the audio quality is not good. So I'll be honest, I was kind of worried, because I hadn't heard of this show, and you were like, yeah, it's just like this, these couple people making this, it's real simple. I was like, I'm interested, but I'm wondering, how the quality is going to be. And it turned out fine, and I liked it.
Yeah. I wouldn't pitch you something that sounded like it was recorded inside of a bread box.
That being said, though, there is another show. I won't name it, but their first season didn't have the best audio quality, but it was still a very fun show, and I stuck around. And season 2, they got brand new mics. They had a soundproof studio or something. They figured it out, and they were on top of the game, and it was so satisfying just being like, yes, this sounds so much better. Sometimes you just have to stick it out, but this was not the case for this one. You really love this show.
I do.
What is it exactly that you love about this show?
I like how it's so warm-hearted and cheerful and strange. Like, I think we were talking about this maybe off mic last week, that, like, Night Vale is weird in a way that you can describe to somebody else. Like, oh, it's this tiny desert town where every conspiracy theory is real, and, like, there's eldritch horrors and things like that. And this is a more, like, down-to-earth, everyday strangeness. Yeah. Like, one of the first things that Joe says is that when he moves to LA before he gets the job working for Bradley, he's like, yeah, I tried out, an audition, not an audition. It's like, I tried out an interview at the video store, and they just asked me to rewind some DVDs. Like, it's that, and, like, weird things like that said, like, dead seriously. And, like, the fact that the show is literally called The Fearsome Morning, like, that's not the nickname for, like, this Good Morning America sort of thing. Like, no, that's what it is. And, like, they have...
Well, it is the name of the show that his, like, thing, that the guy that he works for does. Is that a reference to something in specific?
I don't think so. I think it's that's just what it is. And I thought that was funny that the show didn't have, like, it wasn't like, it's Bradley and Allison in the morning, but it's so treacherous that we call it. But it's so treacherous we call it, like, The Fearsome Morning. Like, no, that is the name of the show within this fiction. Yeah. That's what it is. And, like, the hosts are just... It's one fairly normal, like, very well-educated, like, very go-getter woman who has, like, a bunch of degrees and does a bunch of teaching work and things like that, and works as this interviewer, as this sort of journalism anchor. And then it's People Magazine's 14th Sexiest Man Alive, who keeps collecting dogs and keeps putting himself into horrible challenges for self-betterment that ultimately fail.
I.e. learning to poop outside, because
Yes!
pooping inside is dangerous to your health and causes cancer.
Exactly.
Which he found in 2 separate men's magazines.
Yeah, and like that's the kind of level of bizarreness that this show is working on, where you don't just have this one guy being like, well, I get cancer if I poop inside an enclosed room, so I have to send one of my assistants to Home Depot, and they have to get a series of shower curtains and plywood and rig up like an outdoor outhouse for me, and I'll do it there. It's not like this is just this one guy thinking that. It's a lot of people around him going like, okay, Bradley. Yeah,
sure.
That's because that is par for the course for Bradley. And it's par for the course for everything else in this world.
Yeah, he just kind of does what he does, and everyone kind of indulges him. Like, okay, if that's what he wants, that's what we'll do. I'm trying to think of what kind of other characters in other movies, like these people remind me of. And what's the guy's name? The main guy, his name is Joe, right?
Yeah, it's Joe, and he is an assistant to Bradley Cameron Lind.
The 14th
and Bradley's
sexiest
other
man in the world.
Yeah. And Bradley's other assistant is named Dakota, and she and Joe kind of become friends. And then the co-host is Allison, and that's pretty much the cast we're working with.
Basically, yeah. And then he makes mention of his family members and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's so I'm trying to think. I'm wondering if it's Elaine's boss in Seinfeld.
Okay.
That Bradley kind of reminds me of, where he if you're not a fan of Seinfeld, Elaine works at this magazine, this like fashion magazine, but the guy that owns and operates it and publishes it, he fancies himself this like Indiana Jones type adventurer. And so all of the copy about the clothes that they sell has to be in the style of, so I was on this adventure in the Aztec pyramids, and but I had my trusty canvas vest, and that is what they are selling. But yeah, he just does like all these really weird things and like says all of these like bizarre stuff where it's like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess since I work under you, I kind of have to indulge you, so I can't really argue. But he just does so much weird stuff.
Yeah, and Joe is always completely on board with it. Like, he adores Bradley. He idolizes Bradley, and their relationship is so sweet because Bradley like really befriends him back, and they have a really close bond with each other. And then they're also good friends with Dakota, who's like a lot more kind of pessimistic and sarcastic about the whole thing, but she still like shows up every day and does her job, even if her job is to like take elaborate photographs of Bradley in every possible swimsuit for that year's swimsuit season and like catalog all of them. And then he has like a scrapbook of, remember when I tried on all of these swimsuits.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's not like this Wizard of Oz sort of thing, I guess, where like Joe had like a very normal home life out in New Jersey, or no, I forget where he's from. I know Dakota's from New Jersey. I think he's also from somewhere on the East Coast. And then he goes out to LA, and LA is like crazy Hollywood land. Like, no, stuff is just as weird back home. Yeah. And at one point, Joe's family mails him a bunch of cakes. Like, Joe, please judge this cake contest. And him and Dakota have to eat like a Hostess pot pie that is like melted and become decrepit in the mail, and like a stale ho-ho and all of this stuff. Like, yeah, this is what counts as a cake contest, as a baking contest for this family in this world.
Yeah, it's quite the cast of characters. Mm-hmm. Was there a certain character that you like the most, or that you identify with?
I think I always love to hear about Bradley and his relationship with his dogs, because this show isn't like it's really funny, but it's got this heart to it as well. Like, there's a lot of very genuine sweetness to it, and part of that is Bradley adores his dogs, and he's all about animals, and he goes to these insane lengths to, like, do things with his dogs. Like, he takes a Christmas photo with him and his dogs every year, and he has to take it on a timer because photographers won't come to his house anymore.
Because I'm sure it's just like, this guy is an eccentric weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, So all right. So you liked hearing about Bradley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked all his antics.
He was the one you favored. For me, it was Dakota.
Yeah, Dakota's great.
She's kind of this. I don't know. She's very much this like New Jersey no nonsense, trying to be very normal, but at the same time is like secretly just as eccentric as everyone else. More so in the way she rambles. I think I chuckled a number of times, but the one that got me to laugh out loud was when she's talking about bacon. And, and she's sitting there because she's also Jewish, and so she's talking about, I guess, like when she first went to college, the first time she had bacon was at her college campus, at their cafeteria, and she really wanted to try it, but like couldn't bring herself to do it for months. And she, like, her whole reasoning was she didn't want to be like called out and have someone be like, "Hey, that girl's Jewish. She shouldn't be eating bacon."
Yeah.
And it's like she's just rambling, like, this is what's going on in her mind. This is what she's, and it's not like she doesn't do these eccentric things, like physically or like outside of her, but it's all inside her head. It's the way she thinks. And it kind of reminds me of like she has the attitude of like Aubrey Plaza in a whole bunch of her stuff, where she's kind of sarcastic, kind of just like you can tell she's kind of rolling her eyes at most of it, just being like, there he goes again, you know. So I really liked her. I think being that like second person that Joe can kind of bounce ideas off of, and kind of have her bring him down to reality a little bit. Like, okay, you're talking to your family here, you know, like, we know you love Bradley, and you know, you think his shit doesn't stink, but this is your family. Calm down, explain it, you know. But they have their own like weirdness together too, so
like they have to specify to Joe's family that they're not dating, and like I don't know if I even would call them friends. It's just the fact that they're both personal assistants to the same very demanding man.
They're both
that
witness
demands
to this strange man.
They would not be friends in any other circumstance, but they are bonded. And I loved how they're both such different people, but you see 100% on both sides why each of them is one of Bradley's assistants.
Yeah.
Like, Dakota's gonna be there to be like, okay, you need all these shower curtains and plywood? Okay, I've got your shower curtains and plywood, Bradley. Like, I'll build you the outdoor outhouse. And Joe is the one who's like, okay, Bradley, like, if you don't feel well today, that's okay. We're going to make cocoa, and I've got your banjo toy, and we're going to read Goosebumps books, and we're going to, like, build a fort in your closet.
He's an instigator, whereas Dakota is more like, I mean, if you want me to. Like,
yeah.
They're sitting there, oh my god, we could do this, we could do that, we could do that. Well, I mean, do you want me to go to Home Depot and buy them? Or, like, are you sure this is what you want to do?
Yeah.
So, it's good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that, I don't think the bacon story is in that episode, but the second to last full episode is just Dakota talking. Like, Joe is out on some trip with Bradley, and so it's just her talking about her life. And there are points where the show, for as absurd as it gets, it can also get very real.
Yeah.
Like, she's talking about how Joe's family is a lot of sort of failures, and, like, there's, like, a grandparents that are like, oh, why isn't my adult child succeeding the way I thought they would succeed? And Dakota's trying, because, like, even if Joe's not there, like, she still has to deal with this is a report back to Joe's family thing. This still needs to get recorded. I'm stand-in Joe for right now. And she's talking about...
I can just see him being like, this is direly important. I owe you one. Do this one thing for me, and I will do anything you want. And she's like, anything?
Yeah. You have to record my podcast for me. And the thing he would probably do in return for her is, like, give her a ride to the bar on the back of his moped.
Yeah.
So Dakota's talking about, like, as sort of a parallel to an adult's perspective on what a child should grow up to be, no matter how old that child is. She's talking about how when she was a kid, her dad and her grandpa had shop vacs. Yeah. And it was this big manly machine to have a shop vac. And she thought growing up you couldn't be a man unless you had a shop vac. And she grew up and she thought about it, and she's like...
Because you couldn't have a Hoover or an Oreck.
Yeah,
because it's too feminine.
Yeah, it has to be a shop vac. And she grew up and she's like, Mel Brooks doesn't own a shop vac. He's no less of a man than my dad is. And she also talks about how she had trouble crying at sad things. Yeah. Like, she'd watch a movie that really affected her, but she could not physically make herself cry. And she's trying and trying. And then she goes to see, like, some kids movie, like some animated kids movie, and there's a trailer for a dog, like a heartwarming dog family film. And it's literally just the preview, and she's bawling in the middle of the theater.
I'm wondering if it's Zootopia or something, because didn't Zootopia have in the animated short at the start with the dog?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly, like, what dog movie, if it is a specific real dog movie they are alluding to.
I feel like Zootopia had, like, a dog short at the beginning. Do you know what
Big Hero 6.
Was
Big Hero 6.
Was it Big
Yes.
Hero? When did Big Hero 6 come out, though? Because I feel like that was a while...
That was like 2015, I think.
2015? Okay.
Maybe 2014.
If no matter what it was, it must have been something around that time.
Yeah.
Because I do remember, like, a Pixar animated short that was about a dog, or you know, some type of something like that. This show has a lot of, like, despite how eccentric it is, how strange the things they're talking about are, because even as she's talking about this, like, hey, I used to think it was, like, only adults could cry at movies and have this, like, intense connection, and here I am crying at this trailer for something. Like, what she's actually physically doing, or what she's talking about doing, is the, like, strange and absurd thing, and the way she's talking about it and how fast and stuff, it makes it that much more strange. But at the same time, it's, like, deceptively, like, very poignant. And
that's what this
especially on that, like, I could find myself relating to. Like, like, I've kind of noticed that with myself too. Like, I used to, like, never cry at movies and stuff like that, and now within the past, like, 3 years, I've seen myself, like, tear up at stuff. I'm like, who am I? What have I become? Oh God. But yeah, so, like, it's just like, like, there are moments of just kind of a real poignant point, or it's, like, deceptively hidden within there. Like, Bradley might have a really strange interview process, but there's some kind of like like if you think about it, like they're actually talking about, you know, this thing or something, you know.
Yeah, I think that's what this show really is that it's absurd situations and this really strange style of the way, like, everybody kind of talks and rambles and everything they say is, like, very specific, but the emotion behind everything is, like, very real and very down to earth.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff with Joe's family is so crazy. Like, I think one of my favorite stories, and this was one I had forgotten about, was when Joe is the youngest of 8 kids, and he's got 5 brothers. And like all of his older brothers like tortured him growing up. Like when they're talking about bacon, he's like, yeah, I didn't have bacon until I was a teenager because my older brothers always ate it before me. So one day I had to like pay the local school bully to beat up Grandpa in the front yard, and then everyone would run out to help Grandpa, and then while nobody was watching the bacon, I could eat all the bacon.
He was like, yeah, I hired a middle schooler to beat up Grandpa. Then I yelled out the window, look, a fat middle schooler is beating up Grandpa. And while they all ran to the window to go see what was happening, he went to the stove and just stuffed his mouth full of bacon.
And there's also the story about when his older brothers think he is like putting on too much weight, if not from bacon, then from some other food. And they trap him inside the revolving door of an abandoned building for 3 days. So this stuff is completely insane. But
which means he was constantly running around
in circles. For 3 days!
Like, not even like they like locked it, so he was just in like one slice of the pie and it was stuck there. It was moving the whole time.
Yeah, he ran for 3 days in a revolving door.
His mom didn't notice.
Yeah, but you've got all of that stuff, and it's so funny. But it also paints, kind of quietly, subtly paints this portrait of Joe as a guy who really needs, like, a buddy. And, like, that's why he looks up to Bradley, and it's so great that Bradley is able to form that bond back to him. Like, you are the good, responsible, well, not responsible, but benevolent older brother I never had.
Yeah.
You're somebody on, like, we're kind of on the same level. We can have fun with each other. You would let me have bacon. You would not trap me inside a door.
Well, debatable, but if Bradley came up with the idea, he would be all about it. Be like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah, everything is so crazy, but there is this sweetness to it. Like when Bradley decides he wants to complete a food challenge, and he goes to the steakhouse and he's gonna eat like the big meal, and it's like a 48-ounce steak and like a bunch of mashed potatoes and peas and like a chocolate sundae, this huge meal. Like he wants to beat the Man versus Food guy he saw on TV.
Yeah.
And he gets there and he's like, I can't eat a steak, that's not vegan friendly. And they're like, oh, we didn't know you were vegan. And he's like, I'm not, but we should always be friendly. So instead he has to eat the vegan equivalent, which is 48 ounces of beans. So everything's really wacky, but there is this kind-heartedness back there. And, like, Joe's family is super dysfunctional, like, to the point where they have 2 separate Christmases every year. Or was it 2 separate Thanksgivings? Because...
Same thing
like,
at this point, yeah.
Yeah, his dad and his uncle, like, do not get along, so they have to have the entire thing for dad and then the entire thing for the uncle.
Yeah.
But the whole family still keeps getting together and doing it every year.
Yeah. Yeah, they just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. So I wanted to ask you, since this was so short, if you could change something about it, or like what do you think this show could have done better?
I don't know. I think when you read the initial like description of it, it seems like it's going to be more in like the Holly weird territory of like crazy celebrity life, and it's less about celebrity as a general concept and more about, like, just this one guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would like it better or worse if it had more, like, pop culture references like that, and if it wasn't as, like, insular as it is. And I kind of liked how insular it turned out to be. Like, this doesn't feel like a BoJack Horseman or something else that's about weird LA show business life. It feels like it's entirely its own thing. And really, it doesn't have to be set at a morning show. This could be set anywhere. Instead of being like People's 14th Sexiest Man Alive, Bradley Cameron Lind could be like the second most successsul real estate agent in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And like, and you could get the same things out of this. Yeah. So I'd be interested to see what this would be like if they picked like a different backdrop to it.
Okay.
And to see where it would go, like, through different stages of Bradley's career as he did different things. Like, okay, this is Bradley, the cologne, maker. He's going to make and model his own cologne. What's that backdrop like to all this insanity?
Don't give him ideas.
Yeah.
No. So are you bringing that up in the sense that you didn't think the setting was as special as it could have been, or like it didn't stand out to you?
I liked it, but ultimately I don't feel like they really needed it.
Okay.
Like, it could have been anywhere, and I kind of like how this is just I kind of like it more as, like, a small little thing. Like, we have found one pocket of people that are really weird, and it's not against the backdrop of, like, Miley Cyrus is also out there doing some crazy celebrity shenanigans.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. For me, I mean, this might just be me and kind of my preferences. I was kind of hoping there was a little bit more of a cohesive narrative.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of one, but it is very, very light. Even kind of the last episode that they put out, episode 7, is kind of an ending. Like, things are kind of going off the rails by then. And on the morning show that they do, like, there's this whole incident that happens, and the security guard has to tackle Bradley. But like in like the shit hitting the fan, like Joe is still just like has hard eyes. For Bradley, because he was like. There was this one moment when he got tackled that he reached for me and looked longingly at me, and it made my day. And I just imagine it, like, in the midst of everything that's happening, this morning show going wrong, that he's being tackled, and Bradley is like actually asking for help and just being like, please help me, no, and like Joe doesn't get it, and he's just sitting there being like, this is fun, this is good, this is fine, I like this.
There's not really any stakes or consequences, and I would like to see what stakes and consequences are in this world if the story would ever get that far.
Yeah, something like that. Just like instead of it just being like these kind of random reports, like just weaving in a little bit more of a narrative. Like, what if they are preparing to take the show on the road? Yeah. And just something to kind of move the story along a little bit more. Besides, well, this is every episode is just this report of what we did this week, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, I mean, sure, we have a whole bunch of new absurd stories to tell, but when you like whittle it down to, okay, what did they actually do? It was the same thing of, well, in the morning they made the show, and that was it. So I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more narrative wise.
Yeah, I think both of us kind of were looking for maybe more constraints. Like, I'd like to see what how would they fulfill Bradley's insane demands if he wasn't a giant celebrity, if he was just like a mid-level successful business person?
Which,
and
being
like,
the 14th sexiest man is kind of what that is. Like, you're a no one, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, what if, you know, there was any kind of story, any kind of arc, any kind of place anybody was going, and any place they couldn't go, like any constraints about anything.
Yeah, or some kind of like some kind of obstacle that they had to overcome.
Yeah, you're right. There's not any obstacles. So it's just like,
speaking of that though, this was only 7 episodes for the most part. You mentioned that who knows if they'll do more or not. If they keep the same formula of what they have been doing, because we can't really review the show that we didn't get, right?
Yeah.
So if they kept going with what we know of, you know, what we know this show to be as right now, how much longer do you think this could have gone on, or how much longer do you think you would have liked or enjoyed?
I really loved the writing, so I would listen to anything that these guys put out in this format, in this world, because it is really fun.
I wonder if they've done anything else.
I looked at their webpage, like I googled the name of the show and I just found like, here you can find it on Apple Podcasts, here you can find it on SoundCloud, and I found like a blog they had, and yeah, the last post was from 2 Easters ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I'll try like Googling the names of the guys from the credits at some point, but
yeah, see if they have an IMDb page or something.
Yeah. I don't know how much longer this story could have sustained itself without undergoing like a lot of changes. Yeah, it can't just be like wacky antic after wacky antic forever.
I could kind of picture it pulling a Monty Python and the Holy Grail style ending, where the show does actually go off the rails to the point where like he gets arrested and like, well, that's it. Like, I'm out of a job. I'll be home next week.
I could definitely see it ending like that.
Which I would kind of just like them to at least do that episode, and just like episode 8 is the last one, and that's what happened.
We're just gonna put a big bow on the end of this thing, and it's just a fiasco.
Yeah, because like there's something about I mean there's so much content that comes out nowadays, but there's something about stories that know what story they want to tell, and they tell it, and that's it, and it's done. You know.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone earlier this week about a Hulu original show called 11/22/63, just based off the Stephen King book, starring James Franco, and it's a Hulu original TV show, but it is only 8 episodes, and that's it, and that's the entire story. And
that's all you need.
Yeah, and like the Netflix shows nowadays, like you look at them, and the whole season comes out all at once, but it's usually like 13 with a very good chance of there being a season 2 and a season 3 and a season 4. You know, and like it's there. Netflix is more like, we're gonna throw a whole bunch against the wall to see what sticks, and the ones that sticks, we're just gonna keep pumping it, you know, until it's dry. And I've seen shows very much ruined by that, of just like, we're just gonna keep going and going and going and going, and it's like, okay, this is not good. You kind of already told the story that you were supposed to tell. Have you ever heard of an anime called Rurouni Kenshin?
Yeah.
So originally that show was only supposed to be 60 episodes. I think it ends up being like 90 or 100. But yeah, like the original story that they set out to tell ends at like episode 60. And then it's like, okay, this story is done. He got his redemption. Like, he got, like, that's it. You know, like, I'm sure he could get into more adventures afterwards, which is what they then go and explore. But it's just not good. Like there's not a driving force there, and eventually it does. They do kind of find their feet again, but then at that point it's like, okay, the show has been going on a little bit too long. But there was that first 60 is so good.
Yeah.
So I'm like as much as I would like to see more and see a narrative thread start to kind of weave its way in the show, I think what might be best is to do 1, maybe 2 more episodes of this show, but basically just end it.
Yeah.
Just be like, okay, here's the end of the story.
Yeah, I kind of like this as just this weird offshoot thing you can stumble into and finish in a matter of hours. Like, what was that? What did I just do?
Yeah.
It's like a weird vortex you dip into, and then you can keep dipping back into every once in a while, like I've done over the years since I first listened to it. I just need to spend an afternoon in a strange place. Where's the Fearsome Morning at? And speaking of...
I was gonna say, I feel like this is a good road trip podcast.
Yeah, that's what I did the first time I ever listened to it. I listened the first episode, and I'm like, okay, I really like this, and I'm gonna save this, and I listened to the whole thing from St. Louis to Springfield, Missouri, and I didn't even take the whole trip. Yeah, it is a good road trip listen.
Cool. Okay.
But what you were saying about them telling the story they wanted to tell, one thing I think was really interesting about this is the tone and how it's got so much debauchery in it, but it's also fairly clean and innocent. Joe himself is a very innocent and pure person. And Dakota is drunk a lot of the time. And so there's drunken debauchery, but it never gets very dark or very adult. It feels like a youthful show. You could almost play this to a 14-year-old, and they could really get on board with the whole thing.
There is some language and stuff in this, so that's something to be mindful of. But I never felt the language was. Well, despite some of the words that they do use, I never felt like it was used nastily or aggressively.
No.
It is very much a simple, bite-sized, light-hearted type of thing.
And I found it fascinating that nothing comes of Bradley being the 14th sexiest man alive. Bradley has no relationships. I think one time he's bored and lonely on Thanksgiving, and he pretends he's married to Kirsten Dunst, and that's it. Yeah. Oh, and the time when he asked people to send him swimsuits for him to test out for that year, a bunch of fans mail him panties and stuff, and then I don't even know if he does anything with them. There's no
Dakota had
romance.
To deal with that.
Yeah, Dakota had to mail them back.
And she mailed them back, and she mentioned, she's like, I don't even know if I sent them back to the right people. So it ended up just being this weird panty exchange. So.
Yeah. But there's no adult themes to the show, really. And I thought that was really interesting, that everything is so crazy, but it doesn't get crazy in that way. There's no sexual escapades.
Yeah.
It's not Bradley goes on a horrible date and Joe has to help sneak him out of a one-night stand so that he doesn't have to do the celebrity walk of shame down Hollywood Boulevard or something like that. It never goes there. I think Dakota mentions that one time she dated a sex offender, and she found out that roofies don't work on her, and he got mad and he dumped her. And that feels out of nowhere. That's so outside of the tone of anything else the show is playing with.
She dated him twice and forgot about the first time.
Yeah, not related to the roofies, just related to the fact that she can't remember things just of her own accord.
She just didn't care and didn't think about it, and just oh wait, you're the same guy, aren't you?
Yeah, and I just thought that was fascinating, that this was so bizarre and also so clean and full of childlike wonder, and there's Joe is pretty much entirely asexual, aromantic. He's not interested in Dakota, we know that, but he doesn't appear to be interested in anyone else.
Yeah.
Except for his, imaginary marriage to Kirsten Dunst. Bradley doesn't appear to be interested in anyone. And I just thought that was an interesting juxtaposition, that there's these big, like, Joe comes from a huge, crazy family. And, like, so sex has happened, but it is not happening in the world of this story.
Yeah.
I liked how any kind of, like, sexual motivations for doing anything were completely removed from the situation. And nobody even, like, looks at Joe like, oh, looks like you have kind of a crush on Bradley. Like, that's also completely out of this. And I just thought it was really interesting. I like that aspect of it.
Yeah. There's lots of little surprises. I think the more you dig into this and the more you like if you listen to it multiple times, I think you'll end up finding things. It's like, oh, that part's really funny. How did I not like notice that one before? Because they like, it's not that so much is happening. It's just that they talk about so much, and it's so like weird. And that that it's just like they're like, the more you dig into this, who knows? Yeah, and then kind of to like put an end cap on what I was talking about. Like, there's a part where Joe has to be Allison's assistant because her assistant has quit or gotten fired. And one of the things he has to do for her is act as her proxy on date night. And he wears like an iPad with a video feed of her and has to go out on a date with her husband because she can't physically go. And it's her husband like making out with this iPad, and then it gets like vaguely adult, and the whole thing feels like an intrusion on this like sweet, innocent, but weird bubble that like Joe and the people around him live in. Yeah. And I really like that, like, child, not to say like because he's devoid of any kind of sexuality that he is childlike. He has both of those things about him, and they're not related to each other. But yeah, I like how we're just in this weird bubble where like everything here is good and it is innocent, and it can get mischievous, but it is good and innocent, and like sometimes things like intrude upon it and it feels like they're not supposed to be there. Yeah. There's some awesome stuff. Yeah. What was your favorite like individual joke or line from this thing? I mentioned, I think it was the bacon. Like, hey, that girl's Jewish. She's not supposed to be eating bacon. I was like, this is so stupid. I love it. Yeah. I think one of mine, and this is another thing I completely forgot about until I re-listened to it, is when Bradley is talking about how he's because we hear from Bradley occasionally. And he's like, I'm 14th sexiest man alive today, but what about if you compare me to a bunch of men throughout history? And he's naming off all these people like, am I sexier than Babe Ruth or Andrew Jackson or Tom Riddle? Like, where did Tom Riddle come from? Important men like, throughout history. Just that extra level of, oh yeah, he believes Tom Riddle is real. And also, where is the line for him between Tom Riddle and Voldemort? Is he comparing himself to, like, the guy who wrote the diary in his sophomore year at Hogwarts? He's kind of like Michael Scott from The Office. Yeah, but, like, he's got that to him. Like, he has that, like, just that stupidity about him. But then, like, he acts on it and does these like insane things, whereas Michael would just like say something and just be oblivious to like the ramifications. This guy will just be like, what if I start pooping outside because it's bad for my health to poop inside, so strange stuff. This show did remind me of another audio drama podcast. What is it? I mentioned it to you off mic one time when we were talking. Greater Boston. Yeah, I get that vibe. Yeah, so if you guys liked this podcast and you want maybe something similar, I would highly recommend Greater Boston as well. Greater Boston is a much longer story. They are still making it. They are working on their third season. right now, but it is the same type of absurdist humor, just really crazy and strange things happening within like the world that they are making. And yeah, I mean, like oddly, like the same type of stuff. A lot of the characters are written the same way, where they're just kind of babbling, talking about all these strange things that they did. But it does have that narrative thread that I was hoping for in this.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that to people as well, if you guys enjoyed this, or if you did not, and you know maybe you were like me and be like, this may not have been for me, there wasn't really much of a story, then yeah, Greater Boston, go check it out.
Yeah, what this reminded me of this time, and like I'm glad I pitched this for the show and I was able to listen to this in a more like active, like thoughtful state about it, because I finally landed on like the things it reminds me of after having listened to it 2 or 3 times. And it reminds me of this author named Daniel Manus Pinkwater. I've seen some of his books that just say Daniel M. Pinkwater or D. Manus Pinkwater. He wrote these young adult books that I read when I was a kid, and they're a lot more like sci-fi fantasy, but it is sci-fi fantasy elements interacting with like normal mundane things.
Yeah.
Like he has a book called Alan Mendelsohn, the Boy from Mars, who's about this and the book is about this kid that moves to a new school, and he's kind of a dork, and everybody there, you know, completely ignores him or hates him until another new kid comes to school, and that's Alan Mendelsohn, and he's like, hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm here from Mars, and everyone's like, there's no way you're from Mars, and that guy gets ignored too, so it's about these 2 boys befriending each other, and then at the end it turns out, yeah, Alan really is from Mars, and they get into like some sci-fi hijinks, but along the way it's just like them going to weird like underground bookstores, and they go to a chili restaurant where there's like a million different kinds of chili that all have very specific names and very specific like spice rankings to them.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it has this sort of everyday weirdness about it that isn't even related to the sci-fi weirdness. And what the writing style of this reminded me of is this guy named Ted L. Nancy. This was a book I had when I was a kid. I've still got it. I like dug it out. And Ted L. Nancy is a pseudonym for someone, we don't know who. The Jerry Seinfeld wrote a like afterword to this book, so maybe it was Jerry Seinfeld, or maybe just another comedy person Jerry Seinfeld knows. But in the 90s, this Ted L. Nancy character would write letters to companies asking for like insane things. All with, like, the normal letterhead and the normal, like, business-like, boring formatting of this is just a consumer inquiry letter.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah.
I would like 300 puppies and $20 all in pennies.
What he asks for
Buffalo
is stuff
pennies.
Like... what he asks for is stuff like, Dear Oscar Mayer Consumer Goods, I would like to inject ham in me. Could you please send me the Oscar Mayer ham injection booklet? Also, if I bake a ham at 350 degrees for 5 hours, is that too long? Thank you, Oscar Mayer. Your ham is great. I love all your products. I will continue to purchase your ham. And like it will just be like very enthusiastic. I will continue to purchase your ham. And like very all capitals out of nowhere for a second. And it is this vibe of a weird thing is going on. But the person doing the weird thing is just very cheerful and enthusiastic and like trying to reach out to somebody and communicate about it. Like, hi, I just want to inject ham in me.
Cool. So let's wrap it up then.
Yeah.
What are your last thoughts on this show, The Fearsome Morning?
I think it's a real gem of like a scripted narrative podcast. Like, definitely go check it out. I think it's really funny. You're right, there's not really much of a story to it, but if you've listened to too many things that are like, oh, it's so dark, there's too much drama going on, or like there's all these relationships that are all tangled in with each other, if you just want a series of friendships and hijinks and like really great jokes, that's what this is for. Like, just
Yeah.
go dive into it for, like, the couple hours that it takes, and it'll be a really fun time.
It's good. Cool. Yeah, I liked it. It's very short. It's sweet. You know, if you've never listened to an audio drama podcast and you're looking to maybe check one out because you don't know exactly what they are, this is one I think you could very easily consume very quickly and just be like,
Yes.
oh, cool. Like, a podcast doesn't have to be, you know, news and reviews like what we kind of do here on this show, where each week, you know, we review something, you know. It can be a storytelling, you know, medium. This is a good one to check out, and it's short and sweet, so highly recommend that. That being said, let's move on to pitches.
Yes.
So for next week is, what's the date? So this episode is coming out June 2nd. But we're also going to be recording a new episode on June 2nd. So there is, I have 3 pitches. I don't know when exactly it's coming out. I think it's June 9th. So I think my first pitch, if you end up picking this one, will be perfect timing for when season 2 starts. There is an anime called Fooly Cooly. It's spelled FLCL. Or it might even be pronounced Furry Curry. I'm not sure. I was corrected on that once, and I totally forget which one it is. But yeah, it's spelled FLCL. It's only 6 episodes long, and it is wild. It is a wild, wild ride.
Yeah.
But season 2 is coming this next month.
Kyle, I had no idea this was even happening. You have given me a tremendous gift. I've seen the show. It's been a long time, but I have seen it and I really liked it, and I had no idea they were making more of it.
Yeah, they announced 2 more seasons. So the first one starts to air this next month. I think starting June 9th, around there. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's airing on Cartoon Network on Toonami. I think Toonami / Adult Swim kind of, they were the ones that were like, hey, we're gonna order season 2 and 3 of this show. Even though it's been like years since the first one came out. So I want to watch the anime of this. I know there is a manga that it is based off of. I've seen this show before as well, and it's kind of an anime that I actually don't know how the manga would work. That would be an interesting thing to do at one point, but I'm pretty sure this show is either on Netflix or Hulu right now. I'm not sure which one. But because it used to be, I watched it like last year. But yeah, so that's my first pitch. It's almost impossible to explain what this show is.
Yeah.
It's kind of about this boy who lives in this town, and again, crazy things happen. Kind of like what we were just talking about with the Fearsome Morning, but less, like, not absurdist comedy, but more like absurdist magical realism. And it's very heavily like music influenced, and it's a trip. I highly recommend it. It is a classic, and I'm like everyone that I know who has seen this show being like, it is amazing. It is so good. So that's what I wanted to do for pitch number 1. Let me pull up my handy dandy cell phone here. Pitch number 2, coming out of left field, a movie called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Ooh.
I really love this film, and I mentioned it to someone this past week. That's why it was on my mind. It is, it's a movie that's basically a retelling of the Odyssey, but in the I'm gonna say like 1910s. I don't late 1800s, something like that. It's about these 3 prisoners that escape and have to like find their way back home, and they're like they get into all sorts of adventures. They meet their version of the Cyclops, which is John Goodman playing a one-eyed Bible salesman. They meet their own versions of the Sirens. One of them gets turned into a toad. It's fantastic.
I forgot about that part.
So that's pitch number 2. It's a comedy. I think it's a Coen Brothers film. Is that right?
Yeah, it's them.
Yeah, and it's starring George Clooney as well. He's one of the main actors there. So it's good. It's a lot of fun.
Amazing soundtrack. This was another thing like I've seen before and I've enjoyed, and I haven't watched it in forever.
The music
and I remember
is
my
fantastic.
dad had the soundtrack when we were growing up, and we listened to it a lot.
Oh yeah, Soggy Bottom Boys, Man of Constant Sorrows. There you go. Cool. And pitch number 3. I have not read these comics yet, but recently, season 2 of a show tangentially related to these came out on Netflix, and I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life if I'm not watching this show? Because I love this show, but it's actually hot garbage, but I love it. And Riverdale season 2 came out on Netflix. So I wanted to read volumes 1 through 3 of the recent Archie comics. These are the ones that are not in the classic art style, but they are in like modern day like art style. I think they started coming out in like 2015, but I think first volume is written by Mark Waid and art by Fiona Staples, I believe.
Okay. I was going to ask, is this Chip Zdarsky, or did he just do the Jughead solo series and not main Archie?
I think he only did the Jughead spin-off, but I could be wrong on that. But the first couple volumes are all on Comixology Unlimited, if you guys have that. And you can read the first, I think, 4 volumes on there, but I wanted to pitch the first 3. I feel like that's a good chunk that we can do, because I'm super excited about Riverdale Season 2, and so I'm in an Archie mood. Excuse me. Have the hiccups or something. So those are my 3 pitches. Fooly Cooley, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and Archie Volumes 1 through 3.
Kyle,
what are you in the mood for?
Incredible list. I could really go for any of these. I'm so fascinated by all of these, but I think just the fact that you completely blindsided me with the fact that there's more of it, I want to go with FLCL.
Okay.
I want to watch Fooly Cooley because I had no idea they were making more of it, and now I'm really excited. And like as soon as you said it, I just had like Ride on a Shooting Star like instantly blaring in my head from like the back of my memory. So, I'm really pumped to watch FLCL again.
That is what we will do for next week then.
I think that is a good summertime show.
Oh, yeah. Too. Very much so. Very much so. Sweet. Well, we will watch Fooly Cooley for this next week. You guys should watch along at home and join us. Once again, this is a live show, so if you guys go watch this, you guys can come and watch this live on twitch.tv/the Whatnauts. We always post a link on Twitter whenever we go live, so you guys can come and join in on the conversation. That being said, we also have a episode of the Reactor Core that will, if you're in the live stream now, it's not up yet. We haven't even recorded it yet, but by the time you are listening to this as a podcast next weekend, it will already be up. It is an episode of the Reactor Core on Solo, a Star Wars story, so be on the lookout for that. We have a new website, thewhatnauts.com. You can get all of our podcasts and more over there for all the latest news and stuff like that for our shows. So go check it out. Go follow, like, subscribe, sell your soul. Do whatever you have to do to help out our show. If you like it and enjoy it, please head on over to patreon.com/thewhatnauts and give us $1. That way you can get all of our episodes early. If you cannot make the live streams, but you still want to support us, we could absolutely use your help. The more support that we get, the more we can do, the more awesome shows we can make, the better equipment we can get. So we would absolutely love your support. But if you have no money to send our way, that is A-okay. We just want you guys to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, and at least tell a friend. So that helps us out a lot as well.
Thanks for being here. Share us with a loved one or neighbor.
Yes, or someone you don't know. Random person on the street. Steal their iPhone. Go into their Apple iPhone thing or Google Play. Subscribe them to our show right now. Tom, I know you are sitting on the bus listening to the show right now. Whoever is sitting next to you, just take their phone without saying anything and subscribe them to our show right now. I will give you 10 seconds. 10.
Believe us, Tom.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, good. Thank you, Tom. That being said, my name is Kyle Springer.
I'm Melissa Wilkinson.
And this has been The Review Show. Thank you guys for checking it out. We will be back next week. Adios.
Bye.